My first guest is a relationship coach and the host of the podcast, Get What You Want with Shirley. Welcome, Shirley Baldwin. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in the time of Corona. So tell us, you talk a lot about careers and
Mhm.
relationships. If we're working remotely, how do we know that my boss still likes me? How do I know that she's okay with everything?
I think it's super important to still be like reaching out, connecting, something that everyone really likes to hear. And I think that especially bosses is you talking about them or making it about them. So I think it's important to reach out and not only be like, hey, do I still have a job? Let me tell you about me, to reach out and be like, how
So
are
like the
you
personal
doing?
touch, like we
Yeah,
both.
just like, hey, how are you doing? This must be very hard for you right now. Is there anything I can do to serve you?
That's funny because even now that the whole team is remote at Bold TV, I
Mhm.
always start off the conversation like a human. How are you? How's your family? Is
Yeah.
anyone sick, et cetera, et cetera. So that's wise at all levels, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. And to actually listen. I think as we become more service oriented, I just had this conversation last week with my kids, and as we serve more, we love more. We usually think that service is our way of showing someone that we love them so that they would feel more love. But as we serve, we care more and we love more. So for us to be that human, like you say, to reach out and to care, it actually helps us to become that person too.
So let's talk about something else. A lot of people have been laid off, especially in service industry towns. I'm sitting in Orlando, Florida. Phoenix, Arizona is another place. A lot of, people working in the service industry.
Yeah.
How do we maintain those relationships and kind of mitigate that anger? Because we might be angry at our employers for letting us go, even though they probably didn't have a choice.
I think there's like anger, fear, frustration, uncertainty. There's a lot of things going on. And in a way, it's very, I don't know if it's a way to look at it, but like there's just this beautiful life happening around us, right? Something we can't control. The only thing we can control is within our own little space, and really within our space, since we're kind of all quarantined to these little, cubicles in our houses. And I think it's important to take, just to look within and feel like, what am I feeling? Am I feeling anger, and why am I feeling anger? And really bringing it back to ourselves, instead of like, it's very easy to kind of like place the blame out there, you know on and I think everyone's hands are tied, and kind of the beautiful thing about it is it's the whole world. We're all happening, we're all in this together. We're all in kind of in the same place. And the boss is feeling the same amount of uncertainty. I mean, with their business, whether they're the owners or the managers, like if
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not the owners, their jobs on the line too. And everyone's kind of just sitting here in this place of fear. And I think there's some really good things that we can put in place around that and make it a good experience on top of it being such a scary, uncertain time.
So let's move on beyond Corona. How do we get what we want, Shirley? I think one of my deficiencies is that I've never dreamt big enough. Do a lot of your clients suffer from that?
A lot of them. So a lot of high achieving individuals, which is who I work with the most, they are really good at one thing. So, they're really good at being a doctor. They're really good at being a professional athlete. They're really good at being whatever it is that they are. And when you step outside of that, they have all these other areas that are suffering. And so oftentimes I get that, like, I'm not really good at life. Like, I'm really good in this space. And so I think a lot of it has to do with like looking within ourselves, being able to recognize who we're being in every relationship that we have. And yeah, I mean, that's really the big picture, is who am I being that would have others react or act towards me, not like me, be in that type of a position where we really do have the ability to create whatever we want in our relationships.
So isn't that funny with cancel culture now? You're talking about people who are really good at one thing. And in the past,
Yeah.
they would
Yeah.
be like, oh, well, he's a genius, so that's all right. Well, that world
Yeah.
doesn't exist anymore, right? And
No.
in fact, a lot of people who are really good at one thing uh,
Hmm.
feel entitled in every other thing. So how do
Yes.
you make sure that people aren't taking their, vision of themselves of, oh, I invented, a unicorn,
Yes.
or,
Yes.
I'm a world
Yes.
famous fill in the blank basketball player. How do you keep them on the ground and make sure that they're still
I think sometimes it's breaking down to like, it's really weird. Okay, so my husband's an anesthesiologist. So this is one way of, he is very good at being an anesthesiologist. When I first met him, he was just like, I don't know how to do this other stuff. Like and
else?
anything else. And so they want to go and be in that place, right? Where they're at. They want to go be in the place where they're so good at it. They don't want to, they avoid, they shut down, it's mostly avoidance of, and I think, okay, so this is a very good time right now with COVID, is we've all spent our life with distractions. We're distracting us from anything that's in normal life, right? So we're distracted by social media, we're distracted by our jobs, we're distracted by TV, by the stores, by shopping, by sports, by everything. And right now there's like all these distractions are getting shut down, and I'm getting a ton of phone calls saying, what do I do right now? What do I do? What do I do? Like, I don't know what to do. And relationships, all of a sudden they're like sitting in these relationships, right? Like you say, even online with their coworkers and bosses, but they're just sitting in these relationships where they are not knowing what to do because they don't know how to be in that specific relationship. And so I start with, first of all, one of the best things to do is to just ask the person that you're in a relationship with, no matter who it is, business or home. I would say, ask them, what is it like to have me as an employee? Or what is it like to have me as a boss? Or what is it like to have me as a wife or a mother or a friend or a sister? And then really listen to what they are saying. And if what others say about you is the same as you would say about yourself, then you're really aligned. I would say like 99% of people aren't in that space.
So Shirley, where do we find out more info? Where do we find you? So I see you have a pretty book there behind you. Your hair matches, so it must be you.
Yeah, that's my podcast. This is my book. Get What You Want From Your Man. That's a whole another interesting story. But I have a website, excuse me, getwhatyouwantguru.com. And you can find my podcast, my media links, my book. And I'm right now developing an online program, actually, that should be launching before May, probably second week in April. And that's going to be getting what you want out of your relationships. And I will cover a lot of business in that, a lot of getting what you want from your teens, from your kids, from blended families, from your, all relationships, but a lot of business too.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time, and all the best to you and your husband, and thank your husband for being on the front lines there in the hospital.
Thank you so much.